Hello, high school students and friends. I want to tell you a story today about cephalopod eyes and cephalopod vision. Vision is one of the most important sensory systems for cephalopods. Most cephalopods have very good vision that they use for hunting and predator avoidance. So they can spot potential predators at quite a long distance, and they can track fast-moving prey at close distances in order to ambush them. After spending a lot of time trying to catch cephalopods myself, I can tell you that they definitely have good vision. They can see me coming and they get out of there. They have big eyes relative to their body size, and a lot of their brain is dedicated to processing visual information. So these are two ways we can tell that vision is very important to them. Cephalopod eyes have evolved differences and specializations depending on the lifestyle of each species. So for instance, animals that are nocturnal or live in very deep water where they have low light conditions may have even bigger eyes relative to their body size so that they can gather as much light as possible onto the retina at the back of the eye and have a chance of spotting predators or prey under those low light conditions. Cephs that live in deep eyes also tend to show some unusual eye structures to be adapted for those super low light conditions. For instance, these big googly eye looking eyes on the stubby squid, they are real. They look painted on, but they're real. Also, there's an octopus called the telescope octopus that has these funny tube-shaped eyes. Again, specialized structures evolved for very low light conditions in deep water. So there are three particularly awesome and wild things about cephalopod eyes that I want to tell you about today. Number one, cephalopod eyes show convergent evolution with vertebrate eyes, including our own eyes. What is convergent evolution? It's when organisms independently evolve similar structures and functions, not because they're closely related, but because evolution comes up with the same solution more than once. So what is convergent about our eyes and cephalopod eyes? Well, pretty much all of coleoid cephalopods, those are the cephalopods without external shells, have camera-style eyes that consist of a single lens, followed by a fluid-filled space, and then a retina with photoreceptors at the back of the eye. Our eyes have a similar construction, but our common ancestors didn't have this camera-style eye. Instead, they had a very simple eye that just had a sheet of photoreceptors. So the camera-style eye evolved independently in vertebrates and in cephalopods. Why would we come up with the same solution? Well, a couple of reasons. First, there are a limited number of ways to design an eye that creates an image. So aside from those very simple eyes that are just a group of photoreceptors that can sense light, dark, shadow, you can have camera-style eyes with a single lens, or you can have compound eyes, like what fly eyes have, where they have multiple lenses, each one focusing a different part of the visual field onto a group of photoreceptors. Thus, it's likely that evolution will come up with these similar solutions, camera-style eyes, compound eyes, simple eyes, more than once. But the second reason that convergent evolution may occur is that while our common ancestor had different, more primitive, simple eyes, we still carry some common genetic tools, us and cephalopods, that came from that last common ancestor. And if two organisms share some common tools and resources, it increases the odds that they might come up with a similar solution. For instance, there's a set of genes that seem to be involved in the formation of most animal eyes, called the PAX6 genes. So those genes were present in our ancient ancestors and helped with the evolution of both cephalopod and vertebrate eyes. But unsurprisingly, there are also some interesting differences in our eyes. In vertebrate eyes, like ours, the photoreceptor layer is actually in the deepest layer of the retina. So light has to pass through the lens, through the fluid-filled space, and then through a bunch of cellular layers. This actually scatters the light some and blurs the image ever so slightly. Also, the neurons from the optic nerve that carry information from the retina back to the brain actually have to dive through the photoreceptive layer, leaving a hole in the photoreceptors, and that creates the blind spot You can Google blind spot and find little exercises if you haven't ever tried this before that let you test and locate your blind spot in your retina. Cephalopods, on the other hand, their photoreceptor layer is closest to the lens in the fluid-filled space. That means they have no blind spot and no scatter either of light coming through other cell layers. The light goes directly to the photoreceptors. There are also some differences in the organelles and signaling pathways within the photoreceptors between vertebrate and cephalopod eyes that are the products of that independent evolution. Awesome fact about cephalopod eyes number 2. Some cephalopods can sense light with other parts of their body instead of just their eyes, a phenomenon called extraocular photoreception. Extra outside or beyond, ocular eye, photo light reception. Some cephalopods, including the bobtail squid that I've been studying here in Australia, actually have a light-producing organ in their bodies. This light-producing organ is on the underside of the body, and it allows the animal to bioluminesce or glow at night. Why do that? Well, it actually is part of their camouflage system. By helping them glow on the underside, the ventral side of their body, as they swim through the water, their underside doesn't cast a shadow. Instead, it blends in with the glow of the night skies produced by the moon and the stars. Well, it turns out that these squid have a light sensor on top of their head, separate from their eyes, that detects the ambient light coming from above and helps them tune their light organ to match the visual environment. But that's not all. There is also evidence that cephs may have photoreceptors in their skin too. Watch this video of an experiment done by a group of scientists in Israel. There is a piece of fish in the pool of light, and the octopus is held in a dark box underneath with a hole in it that's just big enough to fit one arm. So they can't see the light, they can't see the fish, they can't see anything going on up on the surface we're looking at. But every time the arm comes near the light, it quickly moves away. The scientists concluded that the octopus is sensing the light, that it could be feeling the light in its skin. As soon as they turn off the light, the arm grabs the fish and pulls it away. So how does an octopus do this? The hypothesis is that they have extraocular photoreceptors in their skin as well, and there is evidence of these molecules called opsins being expressed in their skin. But no one has figured out if those opsins actually connect to an appropriate signaling cascade to let them detect the light and respond to it on their skin. If they can, it doesn't involve a lens. So they're not going to be able to form an image. It would just be like there is light present or there isn't. Kind of like if you were to look at a bright light with your eyes closed, right? Through your closed eyelids, you can tell, is there light there or is there not? But you can't tell me what the light is, right? You can't form a picture that way. So it would work sort of like that. Like I said, this is not definitive yet. This video is really cool. But can you think of anything they should have controlled for in this experiment that maybe the animal could sense that wouldn't be light? Think about it. Maybe chat with your teacher about it. Okay, if that didn't blow your mind, let me try octopus eye fact number 3. Cephalopods are known for their amazing, colorful camouflage. Look at these images. What we see here is that the octopus is matching all these different beautiful, colorful coral landscapes around it to provide great camouflage and the ability to hide. But here's the catch. As far as we can tell, octopuses and other cephalopods are completely colorblind. To understand this one, we need to know a little bit about how animals see in color. Humans have 4 kinds of photoreceptors, 1 for dim light called rods, and 3 for bright lights called cones. The 3 cones respond to different wavelengths of light, with 1 cone for red light, 1 for greenish light, and 1 for blue or short wavelength light. By measuring the amount of red, green, and blue, your brain can then detect a whole rainbow of colors, calculating all those spaces in between and giving us quite good color vision. The most common form of color blindness in humans occurs when one of those cones is not working correctly. This results in, for instance, red-green color blindness. The person can still see quite a few colors, but they confuse some of them. So that red or orangish tones may look very similar to greenish tones, and they won't be able to distinguish those from each other. Other animals have different numbers of photoreceptors. Dogs have a rod plus 2 cones. That gives them a limited set of colors, like a colorblind human. Birds and insects tend to actually have more, like 4 or 5 cones. That lets them see colors we can't see, like ultraviolet or infrared colors. So, now that we know a little about color blindness, how many cones do you think cephalopods have? The answer is 1. And that's actually not even 1 cone and 1 rod. I mean, they have 1 kind of photoreceptor. That's it. That means they are totally colorblind. They do not have the ability to distinguish different wavelengths of light at all. It's like seeing the world just in grayscale, like a black and white photograph. This has led us to a profound mystery. These animals are camouflage experts. They can color match to any background. How do they do that? Literally, no one knows. Science has yet to figure this out. There are some hypotheses. Maybe their lens acts like a prism. Maybe they have some other trick that we just don't understand yet about their photoreceptors or what their brain is doing with that information. I'm sure it's a mystery that's going to get solved, but for right now, we really don't know. Maybe someday one of you will help us solve this scientific mystery. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about cephalopod eyes and cephalopod vision today, about the convergent evolution, the extraocular photoreceptors, and the mystery of how octopuses do or don't see color and successfully camouflage. I will put some sources and further readings in the credits and in the description of the video down below. And I'll see you next time.